Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Omega webinar, when we'll be talking about our Pims Experience Benchmarking tool. Our title is Get Ready, Get Set, Your Projects Are Ready to Go. One solution to ensure your projects are on track. Again, we appreciate you guys all joining us today and taking time off of your busy schedule to listen in. So to get started, let's go. For those of you new to the program that we're using, GoToWebinar, just a few little things on how it works. You may see a control panel like this on your screen. This little arrow here means you can collapse it or expand it whenever, so you can push it to the side if it's in your way. We have two sections. We got our audio and our questions box. Now, I assume most of you are listening in through your computer, so using the mic and speakers of your computer. All of you should be muted, so do not worry. Excuse me. If for whatever reason you can't hear me well and you prefer using a telephone, we do have that feature here. You just click that radio button and it will provide you with the phone number of where to call and listen in. Okay. During the webinar, please feel free at any time to answer any questions just by typing it here. Okay. Some of our staff members will be answering your questions as much as they can throughout the webinar. Okay, so feel free to answer it right there. Okay, now, this is our agenda for today. First off, I'm going to go through some introductions just to show you who's participating and who's in our team today. Then we're going to give you a really quick background of who we are as a company, right? Then we're going to jump into our live demo on the Pims Experience Benchmarking tool, where we'll cover project analysis and estimate validations. Okay. After that, we'll go through a recap of the benefits that we covered, and then, time permitting, we'll do our best to answer as many questions and answers out loud during the webinar. Okay. So introductions. Let me introduce myself. My name is Natalia Urquiaga. I'm the project coordinator, and I will be assisting with the presentation and the live demonstration for you all today. Alongside, as a presenter as well, we have my manager, Shane Butt. He is the VP of Enterprise Systems, and he has been with the company for 12 years. And then we also have our experts. We have Arvid Marcus and Kenneth Steinsvik. Arvid has also been with the company for 12 years. He is our product manager of the Pims Experience Benchmarking tool. He has been involved with multiple successful implementations of the tool, and he is based off our Houston office. And then we have Kenneth Steinsvik. He is our general manager of our Canadian office, so he's listening in all the way from Canada. And he has also been involved with excuse me, with our experience in benchmarking clients. So Arvin and Kenneth will be in charge of answering those questions that you guys type into that little box that I showed you at the beginning, and they'll try to get to you guys as much as they can. Okay, so with that, I shall pass it on to you, Shane.
Thank you, Natalia, and welcome everybody. I'm going to give you just a quick bit of background on the company. We've been around since the early 90s. We're Norwegian headquartered and founded company, and that beautiful picture you see on your screen is in fact our headquarters on one of the fjords in Norway. Since the beginning of our company, we've focused on providing tools and consultants to help companies perform capital projects better. So we've got a consulting business and a software business, and we merge those two together to help companies perform capital projects more efficiently with better communication and ultimately better project performance. Now, I mentioned our software range, our software products. We've been developing our Pims product range for over 20 years. They've been developed, as I said before, to help the capital project execution. They're available out of the box, but can also be configured to suit clients' requirements. The Pims product range includes document control, HSE, cost management, etc. But our focus today is on experience and benchmarking. Now, this product was originally developed as a module within our Pims cost product. However, over time, we've expanded its capabilities. It works with Pims cost and it works with other with other cost systems. So it became a product in its own right. Now, when people ask me what's special about Pims, I simply state that we do whatever is needed to make our software your software. Now, the key to a successful implementation of Pims Experience and Benchmarking is to determine the outcomes you're looking for as a client and structuring the information accordingly. Now, we have experts, as Natalia mentioned, within Omega that can help you with this, and Arvid and Kenneth are two of our experts. We load up the projects that you have, that you're working on, and they can be grouped together to form portfolios. Projects can be things like an FPSO, a platform, a power station, a wind farm, etc. Then we break the project down into assets or entities, and we do this to obviously facilitate benchmarking. In the case of an FPSO, the assets or entities might include a drill turret and hull. For a utility project, examples could be substations and transmission lines. Whatever your business deals with and projects, that's what we use to configure the system. And we also collect the data from your financial or cost system. This can include any of or all of the estimates, actuals, or forecasts. If you only have actuals, that's fine. If you only have estimates, that's fine. If you have all of them, we'll bring them all in for you. And finally, we can import your cost data. For example, equipment costs, labor rates, schedule information. Then we bring in the key design data, which might include elements like tons of steel, length of pipeline, the diameter of the pipelines, power output. Now, to set the scene for today's webinar, I'm taking on the role as the project controls manager for a company that has branched out into building wind farms. So that's the focus of our projects today, wind farms. We've already completed 4 wind farm projects, and I need to know how we've been performing and what I should expect in the future. Are we consistent across the projects we've completed? Are we completing them within our Class 1 estimates, for example? I want to see how our new Pims Experience and Benchmarking product can help me. Now, we've already used the product to import all of our key project and cost data into the system. So we're ready to proceed. It was important to me that all of the key data was normalized. We completed projects in different countries and regions of the world, so we've dealt with different currencies, and I need that to be taken into account and normalized. The projects have been completed over the last few years, so I want inflation rates to be able to be applied for normalization purposes so that we can benchmark in today's circumstances. Normalization is critical because I want to compare apples with apples. We've also included our key data into the system so that we can create and compare meaningful metrics within projects and across projects. Now, in our situation with wind farms, examples of our key data are things like region and currency, the number of turbines in the wind farm, the height of the towers for those turbines, and the power that they're generating. Okay, so now that I know I've got all of our data loaded into the Pims Experience and Benchmarking product for our projects, I'm going to get my cost estimator, Natalia, to analyze for me how we've been performing on our wind farm projects. How accurate have our estimates been? Are there any projects that stand out? How consistent are some of our key metrics across these projects? So I'm going to hand back to Natalia now, who's going to jump into the system and produce the information I need.
All right, Shane, let's see what I can pull up for you. So I have been given 2 assignments. So what I'm going to do is jump into the Pims tool. Okay. So as Shane has mentioned, so we have a wind farm portfolio, a list of projects, and he wants me to compare the estimate versus actual and what's going on within those projects and if there's any discrepancies or something to point out to produce those reports for him. All right. So what you see here, this is our Pims tool. All right. Now what you're seeing here on the right hand is a list of all the projects within that portfolio. We have First Bend, Hidden Creek, Hidden Pass, Settle Shore, etc. Now for each one of these projects, we have our revisions. All right, we've captured our estimates and our actuals. Okay, and right now I have selected Hidden Pass. Okay, just one of the projects. And then when I look here on the left, there's the information of what I have clicked on the project. So the top portion shows the general project information. I see the project name, the entity. I also see the region where this project is coming from. And that's very important to know, especially with currency and stuff like that. So right now this is coming from California, so we're going to be using US dollars or USD. Okay? Then here on the bottom, we have more information with these tabs that we have here. Right now I'm looking at the cost data that we have captured. Okay? What I have here are my cost categories, our project management, engineering, support, commissioning, and so forth. We have our initiation date, and it shows here this is March 2015. Okay? We don't have it captured here, but you do have the option of uploading your man hours. Okay? We have our cost here, and then we have our selected currency. Okay? Then we're going to go and jump in. I'm going to show you our design data that we have captured. So we have categories like our blade length in feet and meters. We have our number of turbines, and we even have, for example, our turbine manufacturers. All this data is captured in here. So this is just to show you where it's all stored. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get started and start my report that I'm going to produce for Shane. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to see how have my actuals differentiated or from my baseline estimate. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and produce a report right here, class 1 versus actuals. Okay, so what happens here, Pims pulls out a pop-up window, and this is simply just to filter. In my case, I'm looking at my wind farms. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and preview. And then automatically Pims, very nice to have everything all pretty for me, my report chart right here. Okay, so what are we looking at? So here on the bottom I have a list of all my projects. I have my First Bend, my Hidden Pass, and so forth. And the bars represents the actual cost per project. Okay, and the 0% right here represents my baseline estimate. So I'm looking at how far off was I on my estimates. Ideally, I want to stay within my 10 to minus 10%. So within this band. Okay, that means it's okay and I'm happy with it. My First Bend project just barely goes over, but just by 0.5%. So I'm okay with that. This one seems to stand out, the Hidden Pass project. It's over my estimate by almost 13%. That's something that maybe Shane would like to know about. Then my other projects seem to be below my estimate by -4 and -1%. Okay, so this is essentially a very valuable report that I would need to put together for Shane. And knowing this, it looks like this project's standing out, so I kind of want to dive in deeper there. Now I want to send this to Shane, so I can always, since this is PDF, I can always print it out or email it to him. So Pims does provide you with that email feature directly on the screen. So with this feature, I can just send via email. Okay. Now I see my estimate versus actual, but now I want to take the same information and look at it a different way. I want to see what's going on with that hidden past project. Pims also provides you with the ability to create whisker reports. Okay, what I want to do here now, I want to compare my engineering and equipment cost for that hidden past project over my other wind farm projects. Okay, so within this form, my whisker report form, I have selected my wind farms portfolio and the project that I want to highlight, which is hidden past, and I've selected my categories, which, as mentioned, I would like to see engineering, and all of my equipment's down here. Once there, I'll go ahead and generate that report, and in seconds, Pims creates that for me. Okay, so what we're looking at here is that we have my categories listed below, my engineering, tower, blade, etc. And then the lines represent the range of cost per cost category. Okay, so for example, my generator, the cost ranges between 30 to 45 million. Okay, and the red dots represent the average total. Okay, so what's going on here? Most of the average looks to be right in the middle of my lines. Now my generator, it seems like the average is towards the lower end. My stars represent my hidden past project, the one that I want to highlight. I want to see where it falls in that range compared to the other projects. And according to this chart, I see that it's almost consistently at the far end of all of my ranges. So that's something that, again, maybe Shane wants to take a look at. There's something going on here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and send that off to him. Now with those two reports already generated and bundled up, I want to dive in deeper. I want to get into the details of what's going on with that project. So I have my data analyzer form. So what this is, it's a very powerful feature where you can create your own pivot tables. Right here on the left, we have your filter. So if you have multiple projects, multiple portfolios, you can select that here. Now I have a saved layout for the purposes of the presentation. So I want to check out my hidden past performance. So what that does, it creates the pivot chart to the right. And what it did here on the left, I'm looking at my cost. And then if you see my rows and columns boxes, I'm comparing my cost category with my project revisions. Now if you look way down here at the cost normalized, right here bar on the bottom, this is showing me what is my normalization cost based off of. So it's showing cost normalized for the month of this month, 2016. So I'm up to date. I'm comparing apples to apples. That's great. Here on the right, my pivot, you can see that I have my cost categories, my level 1, 2, and 3. And then on the right, you can see that I have my hidden past project. And I'm comparing my actuals versus my estimates. And for each one, I have my originating cost and my normalized cost. Okay, so you can see all that in a tabular form. Now, because we want to compare apples to apples, I'm going to go ahead and remove the original cost. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that, and very flexible. Okay, so now I'm just looking at my normalized cost. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just so I can step back and see what's going on here, I'm going to go ahead and collapse all my project categories to level 2. And then this is a good way where I can just see, okay, overall what's going on. Looks like my transmission line installation is okay. Everything seems to be within reason, but this equipment, my actuals are way over what I had estimated, or what was estimated. So I want to kind of drill down in there. What's going on there? So I'll go ahead and expand that. And I would like to see this in a graphical representation. So I'll go ahead and select all of my equipment. And I'll go ahead up here. I'll create a bar chart. Okay. So right now, what I've selected, I'm seeing the graphical representation of it. So my red bars represent what what was estimated versus what are my actuals of the project in blue. So it looks like it's consistently over the estimate. This is another type of report that I'll bundle up so I can deliver to Shane. Now in this form, I can go ahead and export that. So I'll go ahead and call this hidden pass performance. Okay, and I can't spell. And I'll go ahead and save that, and it'll ask me to export it if I want to open it. And very nice and organized. It's in the Excel format that I wanted. Okay. Now to continue, now I've got that information. I kind of want to drill down more on what's going on in this equipment. So what I want to do is I want more details on that, some metrics on that. So I'm going to move to my left, and I'm going to select over here my key data. Okay. So it generates a different form. So right now, I just want to look at one project for now. So I'll go ahead and filter to hidden pass. And yes, I just want to see my actuals versus my estimate. And here on the left, I see a list of all my metrics, my construction costs versus blade length, and so forth. First, I'm going to look at my project cost per turbine. That's the total cost of my turbine. Because why are my estimates and my actuals so different? So it was estimated that 6.1 million for a turbine, and yet we spend 6.9 million. So that estimate was pretty optimistic. Something that I would like to draw to Shane's attention. Now, because we were looking at our equipment costs, let's look at our total cost, equipment cost per turbine. All right, again, I was over. So I want to make a graphical representation of this. So I'll go ahead and select all of my equipment, my blade cost, my gearbox per turbine, and I'll pull up my bar chart, removing my total cost because, again, I don't want to double dip. I already have all my equipment here. And then I have my bar charts with my estimate versus actuals, right? And again, it's consistently over the estimate. I'll go ahead and export that out to Shane just by clicking up here. Now that I've got all that information, I've produced the estimate versus actual reports and also drilled into this one particular project because we saw a discrepancy in the original reports. I still want to see, I want to see how this information compares across all the other projects. So I want to look at my actuals and how it compared. So what I'm going to do now is bring in those other projects. So I'm going to filter them back in, and I just want to look at my actuals. Okay, and I was looking at my equipment. Let's be consistent. And there you have it. Hidden pass is represented by the red bar. So I can see there's nothing that stands out too much. So maybe our estimates was just way too optimistic. And I'll decide to also provide that to Shane. And with that, I've completed my assignment.
Thank you, Natalia. It was great for me to see how easily it was for you to collect that information that I needed and analyze it and report it back to me. Now let's recap what the reports that Natalia has produced from the system mean to me. This report here is basically telling me that all our projects are being executed within or close to our Class 1 estimates. Okay, the actuals were less than the estimates on 2 of the 4 projects and above on the other 2. The hidden pass project warrants looking into further as the actuals exceeded our Class 1 estimate by nearly 13%. and they fell outside of our 10% band. That's the one that obviously stands out there. Now the Whisker report is showing something unusual. In the major equipment categories, the engineering, tower, blade, etc., the hidden past project values were at the top of the range on every single one. Now that's not something I would have expected to see. And because it relates to actuals, I'm going to request some further analysis from Natalia later. Now these two reports have given me a good overview of the hidden past project compared to our other completed projects. Now here I have my report comparing my total costs, estimates versus actuals for the major equipment categories. And I can see here that the actuals have exceeded the estimates in every case. Now we're just focusing here on the hidden past project, and the red bars are my estimates, the blue bars are my actuals. But I'd like to know how these costs look when I take the total project size into account, i.e. what are these costs per turbine? Natalia anticipated this and provided this report to me from our metrics, and it shows that the cost per turbine across all our major equipment categories exceeded our estimates. I'd like to know how this translates when compared to our other completed projects. And this report provides that information for me. The red bars are hidden past project performance, and I can see from these metrics that in fact the costs per turbine within the hidden past project were not outside of normal ranges. It looks like we may have had an issue with our estimates on the major equipment categories for hidden past. So I'm going to have to review this with the relevant estimator in the future. So that completed that exercise. I'm now going to hand back to go through our second situation. Okay, I've got a good grasp on our past project experience, but I want to use that to help me check out the estimates for our latest project, the Hidden Creek project. I've had Mark prepare the Class 3 estimates for me, and I know that this project is a smaller wind farm in terms of the number of turbines, so I would expect the total costs will be less, but I want to be able to compare that still with our past projects. So I'm going to ask Natalia to review the Class 3 estimates for me and provide me with the reports that will help me determine how comfortable I am with that estimate. And then because I need to submit this project for approval to the next stage, and I need to know where we stand to determine if I need to do more work on the estimates. So with that, I'll hand back to Natalia.
Right, Shane, not a problem. So again, let's return to our Pims. Okay. Now, we have a new project, brand new. We don't have actuals. So I'm going to take you back to the first form that I showed to you. It's our experience data where we've captured all of our data for our projects. So in the past we were looking at Hidden Past, but right now we want to look at Hidden Creek. Okay, and as you can see, it's representing our Class 3 estimates. Okay, and just like before, we have our general information at the top. Looks like this is a Texas project. We have our design data, much similar to the other project that we've seen, and we have our cost. And our date is different, is for January of 2017, and then we have our cost and so forth. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and do some analysis. So I'm going to reopen that data analyzer where we created the pivot. So I'm going back, just starting fresh. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I want to validate my estimates across my previous projects. So I will pull out my saved layout that I have created. So I have wind farm estimate validation. Okay. Then here on the right, as you can see, we have my cost category level 1 and 2. and a listing of all of our projects, as well as our Class 3 estimate that's right here. So right there, I can see the difference. Now, just to see more detail, I'm going to bring in my cost category level 3. Just put it right there. And you can see more detail and more information with all the numbers for actuals and estimates. Now I'm going to back up. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I would like to create a bar chart, but this time I'm just looking at the actuals versus the Class 3. So I'll pull over all my cost categories, so project management, equipment construction, create a bar chart, and now I can easily see where that estimate lies within all the actuals. So red is our magic color with our Hidden Creek. And as expected, and as mentioned, Hidden Creek is a smaller project, so it shouldn't be on the high end. It actually should be on the low end. So I'll take this and I'll export it and package it up for Shane. But I'm going to take it a step further. This time I want to see a spread of percentage cost by project. Kind of want to have a different view of the same information. So not only can I make bar charts, I can make a bar stacked or stacked bar chart. Hidden Creek is represented by the red and doesn't look like anything stands out, but I'll go ahead and send this to Shane as well. Okay. So now that I have that, let's go into more detail. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the metrics of the estimate that we have. So I'll select my metrics layout. And there you have it. I got my metrics just like before. On my left, this time my previous projects along with my Class 3 again on the right. Let's look at our project cost per turbine. And looks like our estimate, which is 5.7, is at the lower end. Very optimistic compared to 8.4, 6.9, 8.4, and 5.9. So maybe our estimate's optimistic, so maybe we need to take a look at that. Now, previously we had an issue with our equipment in our Hidden Pass project, so let's take a look what's going on up there for our estimate. And looking at this, I actually feel better. We have estimated a 4.0 for our Class 3 estimate, which falls in the range of all of our other projects. It's not the lowest that we had. Water Haven is the lowest with a 3.5. So, okay, that's not bad. That's something that will probably make Shane feel better. So I'll select all of my equipment, just like I did before, eliminating the total so I don't double dip. And I'll create my bar chart. And there I can visually compare what's going on in this scenario. Okay. Now, really interesting, really functional tool. But maybe some of you are wondering where these metrics come from and maybe it's standard. Well, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your own metric. Let's say I want to create a transmission line installation over feet of transmission line. So how would I add that here? I would go into a form that we have called Experience Setup, and I have already pre-selected for our wind farm portfolio. Down here, we have our metric basis for the wind farms. So we have our project, management, equipment total, etc. Our transmission line is located here, and it has to do with the cost category plus 106. So all that data is stored in there. And on the right is where I will create my very own metric based off the base. So I'm going to type in here TL for short, transmission line by feet as a factor. And I'll select my design data, and it shows here my transmission line in feet. I'll click away just to save it. So you can see the feet unit got registered. Now let's go back to a data analyzer, and I'll refresh this page. And voila, it magically appeared. My metric that I have added shows up in here, and now I can compare the numbers of that in seconds. And looks like I feel pretty good with our estimate for the class 3. We have our 1.5, 1.4, 900, etc. on our other projects, and this falls in 1.1 million. So I feel pretty good about that, and I'm sure Shane will too. So what I'm going to do now is take my attention and switch views and concentrate on the distribution of cost in the Hidden Creek project and see how it compares with the other projects. So the spread of the cost in percentage value. And then here on the right, we have our metrics such as construction, equipment blade, etc. And then we have on the right the list of the projects, just like before, and then our class 3 percentage value. Now, in our metrics, we also have included the total, so let me go ahead and filter that out. Okay, because I don't want to double dip and have 200%. So let me take a look at construction. So in the first project, I have 10%, 11, 12, and 17%. So my class 3 estimate for construction, 11.9% is just within range, so that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is just basically look through and see if I see any discrepancies. Well, for example, our equipment tower, we have an estimation of 24.8% on that, where the other ones are much lower, 21, 19%. So that's something may want to highlight for Shane. So now that I have this information, I kind of want to see in this distribution per project. So I'm going to select all, and this time I'll create pie graphs. So now what I see down here is for each project, those percentage allocations. Okay, so this is the final report that I'm going to bundle up for Shane, and that completes my scenario 2. Back to you, Shane.
Thank you, Natalia, for that detailed analysis. You've provided me with very valuable information. Just looking at it from my point of view and trying to validate the estimates, this report here confirmed, as I expected, that the total cost of the level 2 cost categories were on the lower end of the scale, which is consistent with the size of this particular wind farm. Again, the red band is the Hidden Creek wind farm. So that's a good start. Now, this report doesn't cause me any concern either. I can see that the percentage of cost allocated across the level 2 cost categories is reasonably consistent within the red band, which is Hidden Creek. I can see one highlight if I look at the percentage of cost allocated to transportation. It's lower than some of the other level 2 categories for the Hidden Creek project. But I know that there's already some infrastructure in place for that project that accounts for this. So again, I'm happy with that. Let's see what else Natalia has provided for me. Okay, now I can see some metrics to help me. Again, the red band is the Hidden Creek estimates. She's focused on the major equipment categories, as we know from our analysis of the Hidden Pass project that this accounts for the majority of the cost. So if I focus there, I've got better accuracy and awareness. Again, our estimates for Hidden Creek here are comparable with our past projects. So I'm still feeling comfortable. I can see, for instance, the equipment tower cost per turbine is roughly right in the middle of the range. And if I look at, say, the equipment blade cost per turbine, again, we're not within any, areas that would cause me concern. It's consistent there. So I'm feeling still good with my level 3 estimates. Aha! Now Natalia's highlighted to me that the percentage of cost for our equipment towers for Hidden Creek was greater than any we've had in the past projects. It was nearly 25% of our total project cost. So I'm going to review that with Mark and Natalia before I'm happy to finalise our estimates for Hidden Creek and present this project for approval to the next stage. I love what this product, combined with my team, can do to assist me and our wind farm business. It is going to drive our business and projects to perform better, I have no doubt. So let's start to wrap up now with some of the key benefits we've seen from today's webinar and experiences that we've had with our clients. One of our clients, in fact, said the thing they valued the most was that all the information they needed was at their fingertips. It was there in the data analyzer. That's where they spent the majority of their time. The data has been normalized, and this enables us to make valid comparisons between projects over time, in different regions, different currencies, etc. We were able to easily import the data from our systems and Excel. Now we've shown how easy it was to compare project performance. We looked at project performance across different projects and within projects. We were able to compare estimates against actuals and metrics, again, between projects and within projects, and drill down into those as far as we needed to. We saw how easy it was for Natalia to create a brand new metric. The transmission cost per foot with no effort at all. We were able to use our past project experience to help benchmark against our new project estimate. I can't underestimate the value of the data analyzer pivot tool. We could easily include different projects, project revisions, different levels of my cost categories, and different metrics. Whatever we needed to do, bring it together in the way that makes sense to us and adds value to our business. And we saw a small sample of the reports that are in the system today. New reports can be added easily and configured to suit different business requirements. Now, with that, I'm brought in Arvid. He's been answering questions in the background and is going to present a selection of the questions that came in and the answers. So welcome, Arvid.
Thank you, Shane, and thanks for everybody who submitted the questions. There was a lot of good questions out there, and glad to see there's a high interest. I'm going to start right off. And the first question we had was regarding to some of the example data we used, and they are referencing that we used within the same project the same inception date to normalize the cost from. And the question is, does that have to be the same date? And no, you can add in the dates, different inception dates on a cost line item by line item, and Pims will normalize each line item individually. The next question was in regards to one of the reports you showed, and it is, does the report dotted lines have to be plus minus 10%, or can this be configured? And absolutely, these bands can be set to anything that you want in your project, and in fact, all reports can be configured to the needs that you have. And we can also very easily create any new ad hoc reports for you to satisfy the needs that you have. The next question is in regards to the implementation. It says, what's the typical implementation time for your software, and do we host it? We do have the opportunity to host it. We use Microsoft Azure as our hosting partner, or alternatively, we can bring it in as an in-house solution to install on your premises. As for the implementation, we can have Pims ready in one day to use if you use it as is. But what we typically see is there is some configuration needed to suit your specific needs. some user training being involved, and as well as some set of new reports. So more realistically, you're talking about 4-week implementation time to have it set up to your specific needs. And there's been a few questions about the normalization and what that means. And really what that means is we use inflation values or normalization indexes to bring the historical projects up till current date. So if you have an estimate of $2016 and you want to compare that to a project that happened back in 1998, you want to use these normalization indexes to normalize that historical project up till today's value so that you really can compare apples to apples. And following on that question, can you define your own normalization indexes? Yes, you can. And you can do them on a high level, on a project level, or a currency level, or you can go down into details and do it based on project types, regions, and different cost categories. And on that topic, there's also questions about currencies. And we can use different currencies within the same project, and Pims will then use the exchange rates to bring them over to your reporting currency and then normalize it from there. You can also do the normalization in that transaction currency. And of course, we store the currency exchange rates by year to capture all the historical data. There is some questions here about interfacing with other products. We mentioned using the Excel template imports, which can be configured and adjusted anyways. And Pims is also built on a Microsoft SQL server, and we can very easily create direct interface to any other systems that you might use, either an estimating tool or finance tool to get the actuals over and so forth.
There's a couple of brand new questions that have come in. Arvid, are any of those ones you're capable of answering on the fly under pressure?
Yeah, we see here something about the location and escalation for different locations, and that is supported. So you can have different escalation factors based on to currencies, based on to locations, and within each location you can have it based on to different cost category again. So it's very powerful and very detailed possibilities there. I think that is about what we have time for. There's one more I just want to quickly address. There's a question about our support model. And we do provide support for our own tool. And we have 3 different levels from basic to platinum, whereas platinum includes 24/7 phone support. Anything that we didn't get a chance to address on these questions now for everybody, we'll come back and pose these questions as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arvid, and thanks for responding under pressure with ones that were coming in at the last minute. Okay, so just doing a little look ahead at what's coming up from Omega. For those in the Houston area, Tuesday, August 2nd, we have our quarterly mixer, which is going to be at the Guadalajara restaurant in the Memorial City area. Our next webinar, which we want you all to join in on, is August 17th. It'll be Wednesday, of course, webinar Wednesday. And it's going to focus on interface management. And that's the tool used to help owners collaborate with contractors and subcontractors so that they make sure that, you know, all of the elements of a project that are being built will in fact connect to each other and operate as they should. And then August 25, again in the Houston area, we'll have our breakfast seminar where we're going to focus on cost management. So you won't want to miss any of those. And finally, thank you all for participating, for joining our webinar today. To keep up to date on activities regarding Omega, just go to omega.no/US. If you want to follow up, any more follow-up from us, just drop us an email or a phone call. I forgot to mention, we also have a Pims user conference happening in Stavanger in September. You'll be able to see details about that on our website. When we conclude this webinar, it will ask you to fill out a survey for us. We'd love you to do that. It gives us valuable information so that we can ensure that, you know, each webinar is better, it's more appropriate in terms of timing, pace, content, style, etc. So thank you again for joining. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.